Hello everyone and welcome to the F1 corner dressed as Formula E. Well, nobody's perfect. How are you doing? Hope it's good on your side. Pretty nice day here in Montreal. And today we are here to discuss the Ferrari team after their quite surprising result at the Bahrain Grand Prix, following what they said would be come back to better glory after their very bad 2020 season. Let's admit it, the 2020 season for Ferrari could not really have gone any worse. It was their worst season in 40 years, and they really had to make amend to it and try to, at the very least, come back at the top of the midfield for the season. After one race in Bahrain, where Charles Leclerc finished 6th and Carlos Sainz 8th, we have the right to ask ourselves, did they really make enough progress to climb back the ladder? Well, the short and simple answer, if we just look at the Bahrain race, would be yes, but there's more to it, and I think we should not really get to conclusion right away. There's still 22 races officially scheduled at the moment, and there's a lot to talk about. But let's look at the data, what we know so far, and take an educated guess as to where Ferrari could be this season. And before we start, please remember to smash the like button and to subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss any update about the 2021 Formula One season. So, let's start with the car and then we'll talk about the drivers. Last year in Bahrain, which was one of the last race of the season, Ferrari arrived and got knocked out in Q2, and their best result of the weekend was a 10th place by Charles Leclerc, so getting only 1 point. So let's talk about what they really lacked last season, which was the engine. And they really had to make improvement there this season. We know last year their failure on the engine side was a consequence of FIA directive regarding the fuel flow to the engine, which we believe Ferrari was using a few little tricks that they never admitted, but obviously it had something to do with it. So they were really lacking on the engine power last year, falling behind the Honda, Mercedes obviously, and even the Renault engine. So looking at the Bahrain race, it is clear that they made improvement on that side, since the Bahrain track is a power circuit. There's 4 big straights, which requires your engine to be at full power, and if you do not have a good engine, then it's pretty much over for you in Bahrain. And what we saw was promising. Even though, they were not necessarily at the top, their power unit was at least good enough to not be knocked out in Q2 like it was the case last season. Instead, Charles Leclerc did make it to 4th place and Carlos Sainz to 8th, which is a pretty good result considering where they were last year. And even Alfa Romeo, getting there in Q2, and really surprising there. For the race, same thing. It's true that Leclerc did drop a few places, finishing 6th, which is probably a little bit more realistic than 4th, considering that Sergio Perez did not make it to Q3, and Leclerc just had an astounding lap. But 6 and 8, pretty good result, and even the Alfa Romeo during the race were pretty close to finishing in the points. So it is a thumbs up, +1 for the power unit. Where we still don't know much is the car itself, the chassis. Is it good enough to perform on slow track like Monaco and Abu Dhabi, those places? It is something we will find out more next week at Imola. Imola is not a power track, it is a slow track with lots of tricky corners. So this is where we will find out whether Ferrari improvements, or actually their little tweaks to their chassis with the new rules of 2021, are making the cut or not. And from what we saw in pre-season testing, which is, not necessarily reliable data, I think they have a chance. But again, all the run we've seen is only on one track. But considering that last year they had a few very interesting results, a few podiums, including Sebastian Vettel in Abu Dhabi, which is, even if there's two high-speed straights, it is still very tricky in the middle part. I think that if they kept the basic of what they had last season, they have a good chance. So where does that bring us in terms of the car itself? I think they have a fair chance of making it to 4th or 5th in the Constructors' Championship. 3rd, I think, is a little bit too optimistic, considering that Mercedes and Red Bull are, of course, the two top teams, and McLaren looking really strong with that Mercedes power unit. Lando Norris getting 4th place last weekend. So I don't think that Ferrari have what they need to really be there in 4th and 5th, but definitely a big step forward, and with a little bit of luck could probably get on the podium again this season. And finally, let's talk about the drivers. Are the drivers up to the challenge of bringing that car where it belongs? Charles Leclerc, obviously at the top of his game, still astounding at every session, 4th in qualifying, 6th in the race, which is probably the best we could hope for that car. Just doing a great job. He signed with Ferrari for many seasons, so he has to commit himself and try to extract the best out of that car. Carlos Sainz, which is the big one we want to talk about, replacing Sebastian Vettel, who had a very unimpressive season last year, scoring only 33 points, which is a third of what Leclerc scored at 98. So Sainz coming to Ferrari, not knowing really the car. He did some tests with the 2018 car in Fiorano, but other than that, and shakedown and the Bahrain preseason testing, did not really experience that car. So still got a lot to learn about the Ferrari, let's call it a religion, because of the passion for Formula One in that team. Sainz coming to Bahrain, 8th place in qualifying, not bad. Obviously that car had more since Leclerc put it to 4th, but for first outing it is pretty good. And during the race, this is where it gets intriguing, finishing 8th also where he started, but saying himself that he was cautious and conservative. He probably could have gotten a better result, but did not want to push the car too much for a first race with Ferrari. What he wanted to was to make it safely through the first few laps, and more than anything, bring the car home at the end of the race. The goal for Carlos Sainz in Bahrain was not to get the best result possible. It was to get the best result possible, but with a conservative approach, to learn more about that car and to help the team most importantly, since a car that's out on lap 1 does not bring data to the factory, while a car that has done 56 laps at the very least brings data, and for the driver, experience. So is Carlos Sainz a good replacement for Sebastian Vettel? I think he is. considering his first result in the points, safely home, not taking any risk, and also seeing where Vettel ended up at the end of the last race. I think Ferrari have a good young driver in Carlos Sainz, someone with experience, which is also important. He's been to Toro Rosso, to McLaren, to Renault. He's been everywhere, so he's also used to adapting to a new car, which might help him in the long run with Ferrari to get accustomed to it. So bottom line, I think Ferrari got definitely a better package than they had last season. Better engine, better chassis, it's still left to debate, and we will get a better idea after Imola next week. On the driver's side, Charles Leclerc still as good as ever and improving. Carlos Sainz learning the ropes and will hopefully show us also great results, looking on his side for another podium in Formula One after the one he got in Brazil 2019. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say today. I think Ferrari will finish in all likelihood 4th or 5th, probably higher than 6th, and yeah, not 3rd, but good job on their side. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please smash the like button, hit the subscribe button so that you do not miss any update regarding the 2021 Formula One season, and I will see you again at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in Imola next week. Thank you all, and I hope you have a very nice day.